If you are poor, it is because you have spoken poverty. If you are in debt, it is because your tongue has chained you there. But the same tongue can open the vaults of heaven and release riches into your hands. I will show you the daily word that breaks the back of lack forever. I will give you the exact daily word that unlocks financial freedom. Speak it, and you align with divine supply. Doubt it, and you chain yourself to struggle. You will learn how to stop calling money by its false name, hard to get, scarce, not enough, and instead call it by its true name, abundant, ready, and yours by divine right. If you have ever feared bills, debts, or lack, this message will turn the key in your prison door and swing it wide open to freedom. You have been told money is hard. You have been told freedom belongs only to the few. But I say to you, money is as obedient as your own shadow. It comes when called in the right spirit. The reason so many fail is simple. They speak fear instead of faith. They repeat words of lack instead of words of life. I will show you the one daily command that reverses this curse. Once you know it, you will never again bow to money, you will command it. Stay with me, for in this lesson I will open the law of divine supply. First, I will reveal the daily word you must speak to free yourself from financial bondage. Then, I will show you why ordinary prayers for money fail and how to pray the prayer that cannot fail. I will give you stories of men and women who turned their last dollar into rivers of gold by speaking the right word. And finally, I will arm you with affirmations so strong, they will drive out fear and call riches to your door like faithful servants. Do not expect the usual teaching. Expect a divine interruption in your affairs. For if you stress about money, today that stress ends. If you are bound by lack, today you learn the law that looses you. The word you speak daily will be the word that writes your future in gold. Here's something most people completely miss, and because they miss it, they live their whole lives chained to lack. Every word you speak plants a seed. Your tongue is the planter, your subconscious is the soil, and your affairs are nothing more than the harvest. You may think that words are idle, that they are small, that they vanish into the air, but I tell you, not one word is lost. Each word goes forth like a seed into the invisible, and in time, it comes up in your visible world. The scriptures declare, life and death are in the power of the tongue. That means right now you're either planting life or planting death, planting wealth or planting poverty, planting freedom or planting chains. Think of it this way. A farmer cannot plant thorns and expect roses. He cannot scatter weeds and hope for wheat. The harvest always matches the seed, so it is with your words. If your mouth is full of complaints, I can't afford this, I never get ahead, money is scarce, things are hard, then do not be surprised when your life looks like a field of weeds. You planted it. The soil of your subconscious does not argue, it does not select, it does not laugh, it simply grows whatever you drop into it. If you plant fear, you reap fear. If you plant lack, you reap lack. And if you plant truth, you reap freedom. Now, many protest and say, but I was only joking, I didn't mean it. The subconscious does not understand joking. It has no sense of humor. It hears only the words, receives them as commands, and obeys. I once knew a woman who used to say, half in jest, I am sick of this home, I wish I could live in a trunk. She thought it clever. She thought it meant nothing, but in time her affairs collapsed, her fortune vanished, and she found herself literally living out of a trunk. Another woman was in the habit of saying, I'll probably end up in the poorhouse. And though she had been well off, circumstances shifted until she stood on the brink of destitution. They had planted the seed with their words, and the harvest could not fail. But let me give you the good news. The law works both ways. Just as a careless word can curse, a word of truth can bless. A woman once came to me with only $8 to her name, trembling with fear. I told her, we will bless the $8 and we will multiply it. Let us speak. I bless this money and it multiplies. I speak the word of supply and it obeys. She took hold of that word. She spoke blessing over what little she had, instead of cursing it. Within days, she was linked to an old friend who opened to her a stream of abundance, and thousands came into her hands. She said to me afterwards, tell people about the woman who had $8 and a hunch. I do, because it proves this law unfailingly. So I ask you, what seeds are you planting today? Every word you say over your money, over your health, over your work, over your family, is a seed in the soil. Are you planting weeds or wheat, poverty or plenty, chains or freedom? If you want a harvest of wealth, you must plant words of wealth. If you want a harvest of peace, you must plant words of peace. Stop scattering weeds of fear and start sowing seeds of truth. Your word is your wand. Use it with intention, and you will reap a harvest of abundance. And this is only the beginning. For once you understand that words are seeds, the next step is even more startling. The subconscious has no humor. It records every word as law, and that is where most people lose their fortune without knowing it. What I am about to tell you may sound almost unbelievable, yet it is one of the most important truths you must grasp if you desire freedom. Your subconscious has no sense of humor. It does not laugh, it does not wink, it does not say, "Oh, she didn't mean that." No, it takes every word as a command and begins at once to bring it to pass. This is why careless speech is so dangerous, and why thoughtless jokes about poverty, sickness, or failure often end up written into the very fabric of one's life. People laugh and say, "I'll end up broke, I'll probably get sick, nothing good ever happens to me." And then when those very things appear, they wonder why. The reason is simple. The subconscious does not laugh with them. It hears, it records, and it obeys. I knew a woman who often said she was sick and tired of her home. It was her favorite expression. "I am sick and tired of this place," she would declare, laughing, as though her words carried no weight. But the subconscious heard her. It took those words as law. In time, her circumstances collapsed until she had no home at all, and she found herself literally living out of a trunk. What she had sown in jest, she reaped in reality. Another woman, well provided for, took to saying that she was getting ready for the poorhouse. She repeated it so often, with a smile and a shake of the head, that it became her constant refrain. Soon her fortune dwindled, opportunities slipped away, and she stood on the very threshold of poverty. The subconscious did not laugh at her joke. It obeyed it. So I tell you now, never joke about lack, never jest about sickness, never use careless words that paint pictures of loss or bondage. For the law is exact, and every word goes forth to accomplish what it declares. If you say, "I'm broke," the subconscious sets to work to keep you there. If you say, "Money never comes my way," the subconscious makes certain it avoids you. If you say, "I am always unlucky," the subconscious makes sure that even good fortune slips through your fingers. What the subconscious hears, it produces. And yet, just as a careless word can bind you, a deliberate word of truth can free you. The woman with $8 blessed her money instead of cursing it, and the subconscious, hearing the blessing, produced a harvest of thousands. Another student of mine spoke daily, "God is my unfailing supply, and I have the magic purse of the Spirit, it can never be depleted." She affirmed this, though her purse held only a few coins. Soon gifts and unexpected checks began to pour in, and her purse was filled to overflowing. Why? Because the subconscious cannot argue. It cannot say, "That is impossible." It must obey. You see then how vital it is to watch every word. Do not let your tongue run loose in jest. Do not speak of lack as entertainment. Do not picture yourself in poverty to raise a laugh. Those laughs may cost you dearly. Instead, fill your mouth with blessing. Let your jokes be about abundance, your casual speech be about freedom, your daily declarations be about wealth, health, and joy. The subconscious will obey those words as surely as it obeys the words of lack. So I ask you, what words are you tossing away each day, thinking they are harmless? What jokes are you planting in the soil of your life? Look carefully, for you may be cursing yourself without even knowing it, but today you can turn it. You can choose to speak only words that bless, words that prosper, words that heal, and when you do, you will find the subconscious faithfully bringing those words to pass, and your life becoming a field rich with the harvest of your deliberate speech. And now that you understand how the subconscious obeys every word, whether spoken in earnest or in jest, you are ready to see how curses can be broken and blessings multiplied. For the same law that produces lack can also produce plenty when used aright. Let me show you how. Here is what changes everything. The same mouth that has cursed you can bless you. The same tongue that has chained you to lack can set you free. The same words that planted poverty can now plant abundance. and the harvest does not delay, for the law is swift when the word is spoken in faith. People often lament the careless words they have sown in the past, saying, "Have I doomed myself? Have I locked myself out of my good forever?" I tell you, no. The moment you turn your tongue from curse to blessing, the moment you replace words of fear with words of truth, the moment you speak not as a beggar but as a child of God commanding your inheritance, in that moment, the tide begins to turn. You are never more than one declaration away from the breaking of a curse and the opening of a blessing. I recall a woman who came to me with only $8. She was trembling, fearful, nearly undone by her circumstances. In the past, she had cursed her money. She had looked at it with contempt, saying, "This is not enough, this is useless, I will never get ahead." And the law obeyed, keeping her always in want. But when she came to me, I said, "We will bless the $8 and we will multiply it." Say with me, I bless this money and it multiplies. I speak the word of supply and it obeys. She obeyed. She looked at those small bills not with contempt but with reverence. She spoke blessing over them. And within days, doors opened, connections were made, and thousands rushed to her. She said afterwards, "Tell everyone about the woman who had $8 and a hunch," and so I do, because it proves this law unfailingly. The curse was broken, the blessing was released, and her life turned. Another student of mine had long been in the habit of saying, "Money slips through my fingers, I never hold on to it." She thought she was merely describing her condition, but in fact she was creating it. I told her, "Turn that curse into a blessing. Speak instead. Money sticks to me. Money stays with me. Money serves me faithfully, and I use it wisely." She began to speak it. She felt foolish at first, for her purse was often empty. But the subconscious obeyed. Opportunities came, investments held, gifts arrived, and soon she marveled. It is as if money has become my servant. Indeed it had, for she had loosed it from the curse of her own tongue. I want you to see how simple this island. If you have been cursing yourself, stop it now. Do not say, "I can't afford." Say, "I can afford all that I need and more, under grace." Do not say, "Money is scarce." Say, "Money is plentiful, and it flows to me in avalanches of abundance." Do not say, "I never get ahead." Say, "I advance quickly, safely, joyously under divine law." Every curse has an opposite blessing. Every word of fear can be replaced by a word of faith. The choice is yours. Let me put it in a picture. Imagine your words as the rudder of a great ship. For years, you may have turned the rudder toward storms, toward reefs, toward danger, and the ship has followed. But at any moment, you can turn the rudder. At any moment, you can set a new course. The waves may not change in an instant, the wind may still blow, but the ship is turning, and soon you are on a new path. So it is with your life. Your past words may have brought storms, but your new words will bring calm seas and safe harbors. So I ask you, what curses will you replace today? What blessings will you speak instead? Will you go on saying, "I am poor," or will you begin saying, "I am rich by divine right"? Will you go on saying, "I am unlucky," or will you declare, "I am divinely guided into success"? Will you go on saying, "I am burdened," or will you speak, "I cast my burdens on God and I go free"? The law will obey either way. The choice is yours. And now that you see how words of curse can be turned into words of blessing, you are ready to step into the formula itself, the daily word that unlocks supply and makes riches obey your command. Here's a secret that overturns all the teaching of the world. Money is not wicked, money is not cruel, money is not scarce, money is not hard, money is divine substance. It is a symbol of God's inexhaustible supply, and when you call it by its right name, it comes to you, faithfully, joyfully, abundantly. But most people never call money by its right name. They call it scarce, they call it hard to get, they call it dirty. They say, "I never have enough, it slips through my fingers, I can't hold on to it, I am always behind." And by those very words they drive money from their lives. For if you slander a friend, that friend will not remain long in your company. If you curse your servant, that servant will withdraw. If you despise a gift, that gift will be taken away. And so it is with money. When you curse it, it hides. When you despise it, it flees. When you call it scarce, it must obey and remain scarce. But when you bless it, when you call it divine, when you speak of it as abundant, it hastens to your side, eager to serve. The formula is simple and sure. Speak daily. God is my supply, and large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. Say it in the morning, say it in the evening, say it when fear whispers, say it when bills appear. Do not look at the bills and cry, I cannot pay. Look at them and say, God is my supply, and these are already paid in full, under grace, in perfect ways. Speak it until your subconscious holds it as law. Speak it until you believe it more than you believe appearances. Speak it until the words become flesh and money moves at your command. I recall a student who had only $2. Her purse was light, her heart was heavy, and fear surrounded her. I said, we will not curse this purse, we will bless it. We will declare it the magic purse of the Spirit, it can never be depleted. As money goes out, immediately money comes in. It is crammed, jammed, packed with abundance. She obeyed. She spoke the blessing instead of the curse. She imagined her purse full, heavy with notes, with checks, with gold and silver, and soon after, she received a gift of $6,000. The purse that had held two now held thousands, because she called it by its right name. Now let me tell you, the world will mock this. The reasoning mind will sneer, you cannot get money by words. But I say to you, all things are created by the Word. In the beginning was the Word, and by the Word was all made that was made. If words can create worlds, they can certainly call forth dollars. If words can set planets in their orbits, they can certainly arrange your affairs. The mocker may laugh, but the law does not laugh. It obeys, and while the doubter struggles, the believer speaks and receives. So, watch your tongue. Never again say, money is scarce. Never again sigh, I can't afford it. Never again mutter, it always slips away. Those are false names, and they will keep you in bondage. Instead, call money by its true name. Abundant, faithful, divine, obedient. Speak the formula daily. Engrave it on your heart. God is my supply, and large sums of money come to me quickly, under grace, in perfect ways. Do this, and the very currents of supply will rearrange themselves for your good. And now that you know the formula of words, you must also know the formula of action. For faith without works is dead, and the daily word must be joined with daily preparation. Let us now step into the law of faith in action, where you prepare before the supply appears, proving that you believe. Here is the next great truth. The word alone is not enough if your actions deny it. Faith must be joined with preparation. To speak abundance and yet to act as though poverty rules you is to cancel your own command. The universe listens not only to your words but to your works, and when the two agree, the law is fulfilled without fail. The scriptures tell us, faith without works is dead. It is not enough to speak the daily formula if you cling to your fear, if you shrink back from preparation, if you hoard in terror of lack. For to do so is to say with your lips, God is my supply, and to shout with your actions, I do not believe it. But when you prepare as though your abundance were already here, when you dig your ditches before you see the rain, when you set the table before the feast has arrived, then heaven rushes to meet you, for you have shown by your works that your faith is alive. Think of the story in the scriptures of the 3 kings who were wandering in the desert without water for their men and their beasts. They cried out in despair, and the prophet Elisha gave them a command that must have seemed absurd. Ye shall not see wind, neither shall ye see rain, yet make this valley full of ditches. Imagine their reasoning minds protesting. Why dig ditches in a dry desert when no rain is in sight? But they obeyed. They dug the ditches, and in the morning the valley was filled with water, though no cloud had appeared. They had acted their faith, and their faith was rewarded. This is the law. Prepare for the blessing even when not a trace of it appears. Prepare for the harvest when the field looks barren. Prepare for the supply when the purse feels empty. Your preparation is your proof, and God honors proof. I recall a woman in New York who was searching for an apartment at a time when apartments were impossible to find. Her friends pitied her, saying, "You will never get one. Store your furniture, give up your search, live in a hotel." But she knew the law of preparation. She affirmed, "Infinite Spirit, open the way for my right apartment." Then she felt a prompting to buy new blankets, though she had no apartment to use them in. For a moment she faltered. Why buy blankets when I may have no place to lay them? But then she remembered. Faith prepares. She bought the blankets. And soon, though 200 had applied, she was given a beautiful apartment as though it had been waiting for her all along. Her blankets were her ditches, her proof of faith. Another man longed for a trip abroad, but he had no money. He took the statement, "I give thanks for my divinely designed trip, divinely financed, under grace, in perfect ways." But he did not stop there. He went and bought a trunk, a bright trunk with a red band around it. Each time he looked at it, he felt himself already on the ship. He imagined the sea air, the sound of the gulls, the creak of the gangplank. That trunk was his preparation, his ditch dug in faith. Soon after, the money came, and the trip was his in every detail. So I tell you, never speak faith while acting fear. Never say, "God is my supply," while hoarding every coin in terror. Never affirm abundance while refusing to buy the blankets, the trunk, the token of your belief. For faith must walk as well as talk. The law demands agreement between word and act. I ask you now, what can you do today to prove your faith? What small action can you take that says, "I believe my abundance is already here"? Perhaps it is to bless your bills instead of cursing them, to prepare your home for the prosperity you expect, to dress as though wealth already surrounds you, to give a gift when fear tells you to withhold. Whatever it is, do it with joy. For each act is a ditch dug, each preparation a token of faith. And as surely as the ditch is filled with water, your preparations will call supply into form. So remember this law: speak the word and then prepare. Bless your money and then act as though more is on the way. Declare your good and then make room for it. For the man who digs his ditches in the desert will always find the valley full in the morning. And now that you see how faith must be joined with works, you must also see why so many fail to prosper even after speaking the word. It is because fear still haunts them. So let us now tear down the shadow of fear and doubt, for only then will the word of supply stand firm. Now here is a truth most people never see, and because they do not see it, they remain enslaved. Fear is nothing but faith turned upside down. Fear is faith in evil. Fear is faith that the wrong thing will happen, that lack will appear, that sickness will take hold, that loss is waiting at the door. It is faith misplaced, faith misdirected, faith poisoned. And the law knows no difference, faith in good or faith in evil, the subconscious obeys either. Fear is a prayer to the wrong God, and like all prayer, it is answered. This is why Jesus, finding his disciples terrified in the storm, asked them, "Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith?" He knew fear and faith cannot dwell together, one must displace the other. If fear rules, faith is gone. If faith rules, fear is cast out. So the question before you in every hour is simple. Which master will you serve, faith in God or faith in evil? I recall a man who became obsessed with a certain rare disease. He read about it, he imagined it, he studied the symptoms until he knew them by heart. He feared it so much that he saw it everywhere. His reasoning mind told him it was unlikely, but his subconscious obeyed the stronger seed, fear. His body, faithful servant of the subconscious, manifested the very disease he dreaded, and it carried him off. That is the terrible power of fear. It paints a picture, the subconscious records it, and the body and circumstances obey. As Job said, "The thing I greatly feared has come upon me." You may not fear disease, but how many fear bills? How many fear debt, fear unemployment, fear loss? They rehearse it day and night. What if I can't pay? What if I lose my job? What if I go under? And the law says, "As thou hast spoken, so shall it be." Fear is answered as faithfully as faith, for the soil does not question the seed, it only brings it forth. The subconscious does not judge between prayers to God and prayers to evil. It brings to pass the strongest image you plant, whether of lack or abundance, sickness or health, failure or success. But I tell you today, you are not a slave to fear unless you choose to be. The antidote is always at hand, the spoken word of truth. When fear rises, do not argue with it, do not wrestle with it, do not bow before it. Speak against it with authority. Say, "I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." Say it aloud, say it boldly. Say it until the vibration of it shakes fear loose from its roots. Say it until the presence of God within you grows stronger than any shadow around you. Fear cannot stand against a steady declaration of truth. It melts like mist before the Sunday. And let me warn you, the fear of fear is as dangerous as fear itself. Many hear these truths and then begin to fear their own fear. They say, "Oh, if I think one negative thought, I will ruin everything." And so they live in dread of their own minds. That too is inverted faith. Do not fear fear. Cast it out calmly, serenely, with the word of truth. Know that one word of faith is stronger than 1,000 fears. A candle instantly drives out darkness, no matter how long the darkness has been there. So one word of truth will dissolve fear, no matter how long it has ruled. So I ask you now, what are you putting your faith in? Are you giving faith to bills, to debts, to disease, to loss? Or are you giving faith to supply, to health, to protection, to abundance? Fear and faith are the same force, directed in opposite ways. Turn your force to the light. Speak only what you desire to see. Refuse to rehearse the pictures of fear. Replace them instantly with pictures of plenty and with words of freedom. For remember this: fear is inverted faith, but faith in God is the only true power. Choose faith, speak faith, live faith, and you will find that what once terrified you dissolves like smoke, leaving only the solid ground of abundance beneath your feet. Now let me show you a secret that turns fear into nothingness and gives you a shield no weapon can pierce. It is the law of non-resistance. Most people fight shadows. They wrestle with appearances. They push against the very thing they fear, and in doing so, they feed it. For what you resist, you strengthen. What you fight, you give energy to. What you fix your eyes upon, even in dread, you call nearer. But the law of non-resistance says, do not fight shadows, for shadows have no power. Agree with thine adversary quickly, not by yielding to evil, but by refusing to give it weight. When fear comes knocking, do not tremble, and do not struggle. Stand calm, speak the word of truth, and let the false picture dissolve by itself. The world says, fight fire with fire. But I say, quench it with water, quench fear with serenity. Quench resistance with rest. Quench every storm with the stillness of faith. Think of the hours men and women waste in worry. Worry is nothing but wasted imagination. It is painting picture after picture of disaster, then bowing down to those pictures as though they were gods. Worry feeds fear, and fear feeds failure. I once knew a businessman who was chained by worry. Every new venture, every transaction, every rumor filled him with dread. He fought his fears by arguing with them, by pushing back. But the more he fought, the stronger they became. Then one day, while waiting for a train, he saw a simple sign on the wall. Why worry? It will probably never happen. That sentence pierced his soul. He laughed, and in that laugh the chains snapped. He stopped resisting, he stopped wrestling, and he began to rest in the idea that good would come instead of evil. From that day forward, his fears lost power, his affairs turned, and his business prospered. He had found the shield of non-resistance. So what does non-resistance look like in practice? It looks like speaking calmly when the storm rages. It looks like refusing to run in panic when appearances scream lack. It looks like resting in the word of truth even when your senses shout otherwise. You do not argue with the bill on your desk, you bless it and declare, "This is already paid, under grace, in perfect ways." You do not struggle with the rumor of sickness, you say serenely, "God is my health, and no weapon formed against me shall prosper." You do not wrestle with delay, you say, "The walls of lack and delay now crumble away, and I enter my promised land, under grace." These are words of calm authority, not frantic struggle, and the subconscious, hearing them, obeys. The shadows dissolve and the true picture appears. Let me give you an affirmation that shatters fear when it rises. I smash and demolish every untrue record in my subconscious. They return to the dust heap of nothingness, for they came from nothing and they are nothing. I now make my perfect records through the Christ within, records of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. Speak it slowly, serenely, with the weight of certainty. Feel the old records shatter, the false pictures dissolve, the heavy burdens drop. Then see the new record being written bright, strong, full of abundance and joy. That is non-resistance in action. Not fighting the old, but calmly replacing it with the new. So I ask you now, what are you resisting? What shadows are you wrestling? What adversary have you been fighting in vain? Lay down the struggle. Stop feeding the shadow with your fear. Refuse to argue with appearances. Refuse to fight the storm. Instead, stand still and declare the truth. Rest in the knowledge that God is the only power, and that every appearance contrary to your good is nothing but mist. Lift up your eyes, and the mist will vanish. This is the shield of non-resistance, and with it you walk through fire without being burned, you pass through waters and are not drowned, you face lions and find them tamed. So remember this law: do not resist but replace, do not fight but declare, do not tremble but stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. When you do, fear dissolves like smoke, and faith shines bright, leading you straight into the abundance that has been waiting for you all along. Now, let me tell you of the greatest guide you will ever have, the unfailing compass that never errs, the inner light that shines even when the path outside is dark. It is intuition, the voice of God within. I call it God's wireless, for it speaks without words, without noise, without visible signal, yet it carries the full power of divine intelligence into your mind and affairs. Most people miss it because they are so busy listening to the loud clamor of fear, of reasoning, of other people's opinions, that they cannot hear the still small voice speaking softly but surely within. Yet this is the very voice that leads you into abundance, that warns you of danger, that points you toward your fortune. The daily word you speak clears the channel so you can hear it. When you declare truth, when you bless instead of curse, when you speak abundance instead of lack, your mind grows still, the fog of fear lifts, and suddenly that voice is clear, unmistakable, undeniable. And if you obey it, it never fails. I remember saying to one of my students, never violate a hunch, for a hunch is often the first whisper of intuition. A woman once came to me with only $8. She was fearful, discouraged, uncertain what to do. We blessed the $8, we declared that supply was already on its way. Then I asked her, have you a hunch to do anything? She said, only that I should go home, though it seems foolish to spend what little I have on the car fare. I told her, obey your hunch, for the inner voice will not lead you astray. She went home, and there she was, led to meet an old family friend who opened a door of blessing to her, and thousands came into her hands. She said afterward, tell everyone about the woman who had $8 and a hunch, and so I do, for it shows that intuition, when obeyed, leads directly into supply. Now you may ask, but how do I know it is intuition and not just my imagination or my fear? I will tell you. Fear speaks with agitation, with confusion, with unrest. Intuition speaks with calm, with assurance, with simplicity. Fear pushes, intuition leads. Fear demands, intuition suggests. Fear shouts, intuition whispers. And always, intuition brings peace, even before it brings results. When you follow it, you feel steady, you feel guided, you feel as though an invisible hand is steering you. That is how you know. Let me give you another example. A student of mine once longed for work, yet every door seemed closed. She declared the word, I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay. Soon after, she felt a hunch to go to a certain office, though she had no appointment, no reason, and no assurance. She obeyed. There she met the very person who offered her the position she had been seeking. Reason would have said, don't go, you'll be wasting your time. Fear would have said, you'll be turned away. But intuition whispered, go, and she followed, and her supply appeared. So I ask you, how many times have you silenced that whisper? How many times have you brushed aside a hunch saying, that's nothing, or that's foolish, or that doesn't make sense? And how many blessings have slipped past you because of it? The truth is this: obedience to intuition is obedience to God. Disobedience is shutting the door to your good. Each time you obey, the voice grows clearer. Each time you disobey, the voice grows faint. Train yourself to listen, train yourself to trust, train yourself to obey, and you will never walk in darkness again. So remember this: intuition is not occasional, it is constant. It is not rare, it is always present. The problem is not its absence, but your deafness. Clear the channel with daily words of truth. Still your mind from the noise of fear, and you will hear it. Then, when it speaks, obey without delay, for intuition is the voice of God within. and it will guide you straight into the riches that are yours by divine right. Now let me show you how a single hunch, obeyed in faith, can multiply your supply beyond measure. A hunch is often so small, so quiet, that the reasoning mind dismisses it as foolish. But to intuition, that whisper is a divine command, and when you obey it, the floodgates of supply swing wide. The daily word you speak clears the static so that the message of God may come through, and when it comes, you must act. You must not wait, you must not reason, you must not ask 10 people for their opinions. You must obey at once, for intuition does not argue, it directs. And if you obey, you will find yourself led straight into the place where your fortune awaits you. I recall once more the woman who came to me with only $8. She was weary, discouraged, and trembling with fear. $8 seemed like nothing to her. She thought she was at the end of her road. But I said to her, "We will bless this money, and it will multiply. Let us declare, God is my supply, and great avalanches of abundance now come to me, under grace, in perfect ways." Then I asked her, "Have you a hunch to do anything?" She hesitated. "Only that I should go home," she said, "though I can scarcely afford the car fare." The reasoning mind told her it was impractical. The fear in her heart told her it was wasteful. But intuition whispered, "Go." And I told her, "Never violate a hunch. That whisper is the voice of God." She obeyed. She went home, and there she met an old friend who had long been seeking her. Through that meeting, doors opened, and thousands flowed into her hands. The $8 she thought was her end became the seed of her new beginning because she blessed it and obeyed her hunch. This is the law. Obedience to intuition multiplies supply. The reasoning mind says, "It makes no sense." Fear says, "It is risky." Doubt says, "It will not work." But intuition is never mistaken. It may not explain itself, it may not show you the whole picture at once, but when you follow step by step, you arrive exactly where you are meant to be, and your good is waiting there. Sometimes the hunch is to call someone. Sometimes it is to walk into a certain store. Sometimes it is to change direction altogether. To the outside eye, it may look like chance, like coincidence, but it is divine law in operation. There are no accidents in the life guided by intuition. I tell you this, more fortunes have been missed through disobedience to intuition than through any lack of opportunity. Many say, "I had a feeling I should have done this, or gone there, or called that person, but I brushed it aside." Later they discover that the very act they neglected was the key to their good. Do not let that be your story. Train yourself to listen, and then obey without delay. The door will open, the supply will appear, the blessing will flow, if only you will follow the whisper. So I ask you now, what hunch has been tugging at you? What quiet whisper have you been ignoring? What small nudge keeps returning, even though reason tells you to dismiss it? Do not silence it. Do not doubt it. Do not say, "It is nothing." That whisper may be the very key to your abundance. Bless it, obey it, and you will find it multiplying your supply just as surely as the woman with $8 found her fortune. This is why I say again and again, never violate a hunch. For intuition is the voice of God within you, and its sole purpose is to lead you into the riches and freedom that are yours by divine right. Now let me reveal to you another side of intuition, one that few understand and fewer obey, yet it is the very key that keeps the river of supply ever flowing. It is the prompting to give. The law is eternal and unfailing. Give, and it shall be given unto you. But here is the mystery. This law is not fulfilled by blind giving, not by throwing coins at random, not by forcing yourself to part with what you resent. No, true giving is led by intuition. There will come to you at times a quiet nudge, a gentle whisper, a sudden impulse to give a gift, to share a sum, to release something you have been clutching. And the reasoning mind will protest, "I cannot afford it. If I let this go, I will have less." But intuition says, "Give, and you will open the floodgates of return." If you obey, the law will multiply your gift and return it to you, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. I recall a woman who had very little, and yet she felt a sudden hunch to give a small gift to someone in greater need. It seemed foolish, for what she gave was almost all she had. But she obeyed. She did not give with fear, she did not give with reluctance, she gave with faith, knowing that obedience always brings increase. And soon afterward, unexpected money arrived in her hands, multiplied far beyond what she had given. She told me, "The more I trust these promptings, the richer I become." And so it island. Each time you obey the inner voice to give, you prove that you are not bound by fear of loss, you prove that you trust God as your supply, and the universe rushes to prove you right. Now, the world teaches hoarding. The world says, save for a rainy day, hold tightly to what little you have. Do not give, for you may never get it back. And those who obey that voice live in constant fear, constantly bracing for the rainy day they have prepared for, constantly reinforcing the picture of lack. But the one who listens to intuition, who gives when prompted, who releases without fear, finds that there is no rainy day, only the shining law of supply pouring out abundance from every side. You cannot outgive God. The more you let flow through you, the more will flow to you. And let me remind you, giving is not always money. It may be a word, a smile, an encouragement, a service, an act of kindness. Whatever intuition prompts you to give, that is the seed you must plant. And the seed is always multiplied in kind. If you give encouragement, encouragement comes back to you. If you give kindness, kindness floods your life. If you give money, money returns with increase. The law is precise. I ask you now, how many times have you felt the nudge to give but silenced it with fear? How many times has a voice said, give that gift, bless that person, release that sum? And you have replied, not today, not now, I cannot afford it. And how many times has your river of supply seemed to dry up afterward? It is because you closed the channel. But the moment you obey that prompting, the channel opens wide again, and the current of abundance rushes in. So here is the practice. Listen. When intuition whispers, give, do not delay. Do not reason, do not fear. Obey, and do it joyfully, knowing that your gift is not loss but seed, not subtraction but multiplication, not depletion but increase. Say as you give, this gift blesses and multiplies. It returns to me increased, under grace, in perfect ways. Then watch as the law fulfills itself swiftly and surely. For remember this, intuition is not only a guide to receive, it is also a guide to give, and every time you give by intuition, you open the floodgates for wealth to return to you multiplied. This is why the cheerful giver is always rich, for he listens to the inner voice, obeys it, and proves the law of supply in his own affairs. Now I must tell you the truth that seals everything we have spoken about, intuition, for it is not enough to hear the voice of God within you, must obey it. Obedience is the proof of faith. Many hear the whisper, they feel the nudge, they sense the hunch, but then they reason it away, they delay, they say, perhaps later, perhaps tomorrow. Perhaps it is only my imagination, and by their hesitation they shut the door to their own good. The inner voice does not argue, it does not shout, it does not plead. It speaks once, clearly, calmly, and if you will not obey, it grows quiet. But to the one who obeys, even in the small things, the voice grows stronger, clearer, louder, until it becomes a sure and steady guide that never fails. The difference between the one who prospers and the one who remains in lack is often nothing more than this. One obeyed, the other hesitated. I recall a man who came to me longing for a new direction in life. He had prayed, he had spoken affirmations, but nothing seemed to change. Then one day he felt a strong hunch to walk into a certain building. It made no sense to him. He had no appointment there, no business, no reason to go. But the impulse was strong, and he remembered what I had said, never violate a hunch, so he obeyed. Inside, he met an old acquaintance he had not seen in years. That man, delighted to see him, offered him a position far better than he had dared to imagine, and it became the very gateway to his prosperity. He said to me afterward, if I had reasoned it away, I would still be wandering in circles, but because I obeyed, my life turned in an instant. Another woman told me she had always dismissed her inner voice. She said, it cannot be God, it is only my imagination. So she ignored it, and time after time she found herself in difficulty. But when she began to trust it, when she began to obey the promptings without hesitation, she saw miracles. One day she felt a sudden urge to take a different road home. She obeyed, and later she discovered that had she gone her usual way, she would have been caught in a terrible accident. From then on, she said, I will never doubt again. Obedience had proved itself. Now let me tell you, obedience is often tested in small things before it is trusted with large. You may feel the nudge to call a friend, to send a letter, to give a gift, to change a plan. If you obey in these little matters, the voice will lead you in greater ones. But if you dismiss them, you will not hear clearly when the larger direction comes. Faithfulness in little things is proof of faith, and faith is always rewarded. So I ask you, what hunch have you delayed in obeying? What prompting have you brushed aside? What inner whisper have you reasoned away as foolish? Go back and obey it, for your supply may be waiting on the other side of that act. The law is swift when faith is joined with obedience. Say to yourself, I hear, I trust, I obey. Then act at once, without delay, without question, without fear. And you will find that obedience unlocks doors that prayer alone never could. For remember, obedience is not submission to an outer authority, but alignment with the divine plan within you. It is not bondage. It is freedom. It is not loss. It is gain. Every act of obedience to intuition proves your faith and multiplies your supply. Disobedience leaves you wandering. Obedience sets you on the direct road to your abundance. Choose today to obey, and you will never again miss your good. Now let me reveal to you the crown of prosperity, the truth that distinguishes fleeting wealth from enduring riches. Only what is yours by divine right will remain, and only divine right riches bring peace without sorrow. The world chases money with fevered breath, struggling, scheming, forcing, clutching, and for a time it may seem they gather much. But look closer, and you will see worry in their eyes, fear in their hearts, quarrels in their homes, burdens on their backs, for what is not yours by divine right can never bring peace. It may glitter for a season, but it turns to dust. It may look like wealth, but it adds sorrow. It is a counterfeit blessing, and the law will strip it away in time. But that which belongs to you by divine right comes easily, flows freely, stays securely, and brings joy with it. The scripture declares, "The blessing of the Lord, it maketh rich, and he addeth no sorrow with it." That is the blessings. Test. If your wealth adds sorrow, it is not from God. If it adds peace, joy, freedom, and the ability to bless others, then you know it is yours eternally. I remember a woman who longed to marry a certain man. She prayed for him, she begged for him, she tried to force the law to give her what she desired. But I told her, it is not wise to pray for any particular person. I will not speak for you to have him, for that would be forcing the law. Instead, I will speak for you to have your right man, the one who belongs to you by divine right. If this one is yours, nothing can keep him. If he is not, his equivalent will appear. She agreed, though unwillingly. In time, the first man drifted away, and she met another, a man who was everything she had longed for, everything she had imagined, and more. She said afterward, "It is uncanny. He is all that I wanted the other to be." That is the law of divine right. What was not hers vanished, and what was truly hers came to stay, bringing joy without sorrow. So it is with money. Some force themselves into riches that were never meant for them. They gain wealth by trickery, by greed, by deception, and with it comes lawsuits, quarrels, sickness, fear, and loss. Others receive wealth by divine right, and it brings harmony, health, security, and blessing. The difference is not in the amount, but in the source. Wrong riches are a burden, right riches are a blessing. Now you may ask, but how can I know if the wealth before me is mine by divine right? The test is simple. Does it bring peace, or does it bring fear? Does it free you, or does it bind you? Does it allow you to bless others, or does it make you grasp tighter? Divine right riches expand your life. Wrong riches shrink it. Divine right riches bring rest. Wrong riches bring toil. Divine right riches carry the seal of joy. Wrong riches carry the shadow of sorrow. The law is exact and cannot be deceived. So I tell you now, never chase what is not yours. Never. Envy another's fortune. Never covet what belongs to someone else. Speak instead. That which is mine by divine right is now released to me. It comes quickly, easily, joyously, under grace, in perfect ways. This word frees you from the counterfeit and aligns you with the true. And when the true comes, you will know it, for it will bring no sorrow with it. I ask you now, what riches have you been clutching that adds sorrow to your life? What counterfeit blessings have you been forcing that only weigh you down? Release them, let them go. For only when you release the wrong can the right appear. And when it does, you will find that your wealth flows like a river, steady and sure, blessing you and blessing others, and leaving no shadow of fear behind. For remember this, divine right riches are eternal. They cannot be stolen, they cannot be lost, they cannot be destroyed. They are yours by eternal law, and they will bless you all the days of your life. Now let me show you another hidden law that few dare to believe, yet it is the very heart of divine right supply. No true desire comes into your heart without the power to fulfill it. Every deep longing, every true dream, every vision that returns again and again is not idle fancy, not a cruel joke of fate, but the echo of your divine design calling you forward. The thing you long for is the thing that belongs to you. The wealth you desire, the freedom you crave, the work that thrills you, the home you imagine, the love you picture, these are not lies. They are signals. They are messages from the infinite saying, "This is yours. Rise up and claim it, for God does not mock his children. He does not set desires before you like bread before the starving, only to snatch it away. He plants within you only what he has already prepared without you." Desire is destiny whispering. The world teaches otherwise. The world says, "Do not ask for too much. Do not dream too big. Be realistic. Settle for what you can get." And so men shrink their desires to fit their fears, and then they wonder why life is small, why riches escape them, why joy eludes them. It is because they have silenced the voice of their own divine design. But those who dare to trust their deepest desires, those who speak them boldly, those who claim them as their birthright, find that the whole universe bends to bring them fulfillment. Desire is not the enemy. It is the map. It is the compass needle pointing you to what is already yours. I recall a man who longed for a certain kind of work. He said to me, "It is too fine a position, it is beyond me. I cannot expect it." I answered, "The mere fact that you desire it proves it is yours by divine right. Speak the word. I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay." He obeyed, he affirmed, he refused to let appearances shake him. And in time, the very position he had thought beyond him opened to him, and he entered into it with joy. The desire had been the echo of his true work calling, and the law fulfilled it. Another woman desired a home, a particular kind of house, in a particular location. She said, "It is impossible, I cannot afford it." But I told her, the desire proves its fulfillment. Speak daily. I give thanks for my divinely designed home, under grace, in perfect ways. She did so, and within a short time, the exact home she had pictured became hers, easily, without strain. She said afterward, "It is uncanny, it is as though I walked into the very picture I had been holding in my heart." Indeed it was, for the picture in her heart was the divine pattern, and desire was the echo of its reality. So I say to you, do not despise your desires, do not dismiss them as vain, do not bury them under fear and call it humility. If the desire is true, if it brings joy, if it blesses others, if it expands life, it is the voice of God within you, saying, "This is yours." Speak it, claim it, hold to it, and prepare for it. For what you desire is already waiting, the path is already laid, the supply is already arranged. Your desire is the signal, your word is the key, your faith is the proof. Ask yourself now, what desire burns quietly in your heart? What vision returns again and again, no matter how often you try to silence it? What dream refuses to die? That is your divine right calling. Do not dismiss it, do not fear it, do not reason it away. Claim it, speak it, bless it, and watch as the law fulfills it in perfect ways. For remember this, desire is never vain, it is the echo of your divine design. And when you honor it, when you speak for it, when you prepare for it, the law of supply unfailingly brings it into form. Now let me show you one of the most merciful laws of the universe, a law that keeps you from ruin when your will is set on the wrong thing, a law that saves you from disappointment and brings you the true equivalent of your desire. It is the law of substitution. This law declares that if the thing you demand is not yours by divine right, you will not receive it, but its perfect substitute, its true equivalent, will come in its place. And when it comes, you will find it is better, greater, richer, fuller than anything you had imagined. Many complain when what they demanded is denied them, thinking heaven has shut its ears. But I tell you, the law is not denial, it is protection. God never withholds from you, He substitutes, He saves you from the counterfeit to give you the true. I recall a woman who longed for a certain man. She prayed for him, pleaded for him, tried to fasten him to her life. She came to me saying, I must have him. Speak the word that he be mine. I said, no, I will not speak against divine law. If he is yours by right, nothing can keep him. If he is not, you would not be happy with him, for he belongs to another. Instead, we will speak for your right man, the man who is divinely selected for you. If it is this one, he will return. If it is not, his equivalent will appear. She agreed, though with reluctance. In time, the first man vanished from her life, and another appeared, a man who spoke every word she had longed to hear, who treated her with the tenderness she had dreamed of, who was in every way the perfect fulfillment of her desire. She said, it is uncanny. He is all that I wanted the other to be, and more. That was the law of substitution. The counterfeit dissolved, the true equivalent appeared, and her joy was complete. So it is, with money, with work, with homes, with every desire. You may fix your heart on a certain position, a certain business deal, a certain investment, and for a time it seems you must have it or you will perish. You pray, you affirm, you declare, but still it slips away. Do not despair, do not curse the law, do not cry, why was I denied? Instead, say, this or something better, under grace, in perfect ways. For the law of substitution is at work, removing the wrong to make room for the right. And when the right comes, you will look back and give thanks you were spared the counterfeit. Another student of mine longed for a position. She declared, I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay. She applied for a certain job and was denied. She wept, thinking all was lost. But soon another door opened, and she was given a position far better than the one she had demanded. Greater pay, greater joy, greater freedom. She said to me afterward, if I had been given the first, I would have been trapped. Now I see the law spared me and gave me better. That is substitution. So I ask you, what are you clinging to today that is not truly yours? What desire are you trying to force? What door are you trying to break open? What relationship, what possession, what opportunity are you calling mine, though heaven whispers not so? Release it. Trust the law. Declare daily, that which is mine by divine right is now released to me. If this is not it, its perfect equivalent now appears. Then stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. For the law of substitution never fails. It saves you from sorrow, it spares you from loss, it keeps you from counterfeit blessings, and it delivers to you the true riches that belong to you eternally. Obey it, trust it, bless it, and you will walk in a life where nothing is denied, but only replaced with something better. Now let me bring this truth into the realm of your daily labor, your service, and your pay. For many lie bound in toil, working at tasks that drain them, serving in places that choke them, paid wages that insult them. They say, I must take what I can get, I must hold on to what little I have, I cannot hope for more. And so they remain prisoners of fear, and their lives are marked by endless struggle. But I tell you, just as there are divine right riches, there is also divine right work. There is a place prepared for you, where your gift is valued, your service is blessed, your labor is joyous, and your pay is perfect. You are not called to grind like a slave in bondage. You are called to give perfect service for perfect pay in a perfect way. That is your divine right. And when you speak for it, the law will open the door and lead you there. I taught my students to declare daily, I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay. These words, spoken with faith, have lifted countless men and women out of bondage into freedom. A woman once came to me, weary and bitter. She had been working for years at a job that drained her strength and paid her little. She said, I cannot leave, for I have nothing else. I told her, begin to speak the word. Bless where you are, but call forth your right work. Say it daily. I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay. She obeyed. And in a short time, a door opened. She was offered a new position in a place that delighted her, with pay far greater than she had imagined. She said to me, It is uncanny, it feels as though this place was waiting for me. Indeed it was, for her word had prepared it. Another student, a man, had been unemployed for months. He had sent out applications, begged for interviews, tried to push doors open, but all remained shut. He came to me discouraged. I told him, "Stop begging, stop knocking at locked doors. Speak the word. I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay. Then prepare for it as though it were already yours." He began to declare it faithfully. He bought new tools for his trade, though he had no work yet. He cleaned and pressed his clothes, though he had no office to wear them to. He dug his ditches in faith. And soon a position was offered to him, one that matched his skill, his joy, and his need. The pay was more than he had earned before, and the work lifted him into new freedom. He said afterward, "All my striving failed, but one word of truth opened the door. So I tell you, never again say, 'I must work here, though I hate it. I must endure, though I am underpaid. I must grind, though I am weary.' Those are lies, and lies bind. Speak instead, 'I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay.' Do not picture yourself stuck in bondage. Picture yourself rising into freedom. Do not curse your present place. Bless it as a stepping stone to your greater good. For when you bless, you multiply. And when you call forth your right work, the law cannot fail to deliver. I ask you, what would it feel like to rise in the morning eager for the day's work, knowing that your service was valued, your gifts were recognized, your pay was abundant, your labor was joyous? That is not a dream, it is your divine right. The moment you claim it, the law begins to arrange it. And if you will not block to it with fear or doubt, you will walk straight into it. So remember this word. Write it on your heart. Speak it daily. Live in the vibration of it. I have a perfect work in a perfect way. I give perfect service for perfect pay. Say it until your subconscious engraves it. Say it until your affairs reflect it. Say it until your bondage dissolves and your freedom appears. For just as surely as wrong riches add sorrow, divine right work brings joy, and perfect pay flows like a river to the one who dares to claim it. And now we come to the end of this lesson, yet I tell you, it is not an end but a beginning, for the word you have heard today is not a passing sound, it is a seed, and it has already entered the soil of your subconscious. If you will water it with repetition, if you will guard it with faith, if you will prepare for it with action, the harvest will come swiftly and your life will be transformed. Think of what has been revealed. You have seen that your words are not idle, but law. Every word you speak plants a seed that will rise into harvest, and the field of your life is nothing more than the sum of yesterday's declarations. You have seen that careless words spoken in jest, muttered in fear, sighed in despair, become chains, binding men and women to lack and struggle. Yet you have also seen that the same tongue that curses can bless, the same lips that imprison can free, the same mouth that spoke lack can now call forth abundance. You have learned the daily word of supply, the living formula that unlocks the vaults of heaven. God is my supply, and great avalanches of abundance now flow to me, under grace, in perfect ways. This is not a string of pleasant phrases, it is a command to the law of the universe, and it cannot return void. You have learned that words alone are not enough if actions deny them, for faith without works is dead. And so, you must prepare. You must buy the blankets before the apartment appears. You must dig the ditches before the rain falls. You must pack the trunk before the voyage begins. For preparation is the proof of belief, and proof always draws supply. You have seen that fear is nothing but faith inverted, a dark prayer to the wrong God, and that every fearful picture has power to materialize. But you have also seen that fear melts before one bold word of truth. You have learned the shield of non-resistance, the law that says, resist not evil, do not fight shadows, do not argue with appearances, do not waste imagination in worry. Stand calm, speak the word, and let the false dissolve of itself. You have seen the power of intuition, God's wireless, speaking as a hunch, a whisper, a sudden nudge. And you know now to never violate a hunch, for obedience to intuition is obedience to God, and it always leads to supply. You have seen how even the prompting to give is part of this law, and how every gift given in faith multiplies and returns. You have learned that only what is yours by divine right endures, that counterfeit blessings carry sorrow, but true riches bring peace and joy without end. You have learned the mercy of the law of substitution, which takes away the wrong and gives the right, which denies nothing but counterfeit, and always supplies the true equivalent. You have learned to speak daily for your perfect work, your perfect way, your perfect service, and your perfect pay. And you have seen that every desire, every true longing, is not a mockery but the echo of your divine design, already prepared and waiting for you. So I say to you now, you are no longer a beggar before life. You are no longer a slave to fear. You are no longer chained to the illusion of lack. You are a commander under divine law, and the word you speak daily will write your future in gold. Speak it with faith, act it with proof, obey it with joy, and watch as the law fulfills itself in your affairs. Take this affirmation as your sword, your shield, your wand of power. God is my unfailing supply, and great avalanches of abundance now flow to me, under grace, in perfect ways. Speak it morning and night. Speak it until your subconscious engraves it. Speak it until fear vanishes and doubt dissolves. Speak it until riches flow like a river into your life, for the law is exact, and the law cannot fail. And before we part, let me leave you with a glimpse of what is yet to come. There is one more law, so powerful, so sweeping, that it can overturn even years of debt in a single week. It is the law of casting the burden. It is the mighty command that takes every weight of worry, every shadow of fear, every crushing load of responsibility, and hands it over to God, leaving you free, light, and victorious. In my next lesson, I will reveal this secret. I will show you how to cast every burden upon the Lord and walk into freedom as easily as breathing. Do not miss it, for it is the missing piece that will make your prosperity complete. So click now, listen, and step into the next revelation. Let the burden of money melt into blessing. Let the word of truth carry you into freedom. Let the law of divine supply crown you with abundance, for this is your birthright, this is your inheritance, and this is your destiny.